Why is my podcast artwork such a big deal? Hello, friend. Thanks for pressing play on this episode of the Brassy Broadcast. I'm Jen Eads. If you haven't met me yet, I'm a musician, a student of the creative universe, and a curious girl full of questions. I'm also the head broad in charge at the Brassy Broadcasting Company, where I partner with the creators, the doers, and the makers of the world to put them in the ears, heads, and hearts of new audiences with podcasts and other audio goodness. When you're ready and want more in-depth one-to-one coaching on your podcast workflow, audio quality, or help jumping some other podcasting hurdle, click the link in the show notes. When you click that before December 31st, 2017, it will take you to the Brass Tacks Podcasting Toolkit page, where you can schedule a 1-hour strategy session with me to learn how to get the most out of the tools, templates, and tactics that are included in the Digital Podcasting Toolkit. And you're going to get all of this for $97. This self-contained Podcaster's Digital Toolkit contains tools, templates, and tactics to help you build a strong foundation to support your podcast. Now, about that artwork. Let's start with your cover art. What is podcast cover art? This is the image that shows up in Apple Podcasts or your podcast listening app of choice. It's a thumbnail that acts like an album cover for your show. The folks at Apple Podcasts, formerly iTunes, are super picky about making sure that you follow their guidelines for podcast cover art. They don't need your podcast and have no problem rejecting it if you haven't met their requirements. I know, maybe you're thinking that podcasting is primarily an audio medium, so who cares what the cover art looks like? I get it, but you should care. Your show artwork will show up on podcast apps when people play your podcast. It will be seen, and it's a reflection of your show and your brand. I loved looking at album covers when I was growing up. I am so grateful for the resurgence of vinyl because I love holding album covers in my hand and reading all the liner notes and the lyrics. That was always a big part of my listening ritual. What album covers are burned in your brain? For me, most of them are from the 80s. Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA, those jeans, that red baseball hat, and Van Halen's 1984 with that boy with the angel wings and the cigarettes. And the artwork by Keith Haring on A Very Special Christmas. I loved that album cover. This is your opportunity to create a lasting impression. Don't squander it. Burn an image into somebody's brain so that they immediately hear your voice in their head when they see that image. Make that image a part of their listening ritual. And friend, it doesn't just stop at the podcast cover art if you want to promote your show. You can create artwork to promote the individual episodes. I've created artwork for several episodes that have included images of my guests, along with the episode title. You'll also need to think about artwork for social media. What will you use for your Facebook and Twitter homepages? Be intentional when creating your artwork. Think about how it will look and how you can tie it together across multiple channels to create a cohesive look. And just where does one find this magical artwork? I would start by getting recommendations. You can find them in podcasting groups or from friends for a graphic designer. I've also used Fiverr. It can be hit and miss. My first round of podcast cover art was created by a dude on Fiverr. It was simple and affordable, and he did a good job with it. You can also create your own artwork using canva.com or picmonkey.com, and that's canva.com or picmonkey, PICMONKEY.com. It's easy to upload your own images and add text, and I've used templates in Canva to create tons of images for my show. Just like with music, you need to be wary of any licensing issues with pictures that you download from the interwebs, stock images, and even some of the elements you can purchase from sites like Canva. Now let's talk about artwork and workflow. Where does artwork fall into your workflow? Do you have the time to create additional artwork for each episode? It's not a necessity, so don't get overwhelmed with it. If you're doing an interview show and you want headshots of your guest, request them in your email template or canned response when you request the guest bio and lay out the other expectations. And if you missed it, check out episode 15 of this 30 Days of Brass Tacks Podcasting Wisdom series for the skinny on email templates, canned responses, and scheduling apps. There you have it, friend. A few things to be mindful of when creating your podcast artwork. If you found even the smallest, tiniest little nugget of wisdom in this episode, please share it with a friend that needs to hear it. Don't be stingy. They're going to think you're an absolute rock star. Instagram is my jam. You can connect with me there to get the behind the scenes where my podcasting and musical worlds collide. And you might see some pictures of the dog and cat that basically run this studio. And for my podcasting tutorials, subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can find me on YouTube at Jen Eads Brassy, and that is EDDS to spell Eads. Thanks for listening. Now get out in the world and do some good.